The president, as you probably know by now, signed the tax bill into law on Friday afternoon, extending those Bush-era tax cuts. But the decision was not without its share of controversy, and even some who supported it say the bill is flawed. Joining us this morning here in Hangar 26, Tennessee Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn. It's good to have you, Congresswoman.
Good to be with
Welcome.
you. Thanks.
What's it been like being in D.C. the past 2 weeks?
It's been interesting. You know, the good thing about it is we are finally beginning to see the administration, not necessarily the Democrat congressional leadership, but the administration say, you know what, the American people did speak. And what they want to see are tax reductions extended for everybody. Nobody wants a tax increase on January 1. So it was a heavy lift, but we got it done.
Were you disappointed that it didn't come with something regarding spending? How do we know that's coming down the pike?
Of course. Well, January 5th, when we take the gavels, and as we move past this CR to a budget in the first quarter of next year, what you're going to see is us roll the spending levels back to those 2008 levels. And then many of us, myself included, have proposals that are for the across-the-board spending cuts, which is where we have to go. That's how our states bring their budgets in line. And that's what we need to do also. And, of course, you know, generally, my bills are for 1, 2, or 5% across the board spending cuts. This year, my colleagues are joining me and saying, let's do 5, 10, and 15%. They're hearing from employers. They know they have to make some pretty serious spending cuts and then look at that side of the ledger so that as you're keeping these tax reductions in place, as you are putting the focus on capital investment, with the expensing provisions that are there, that you're reducing what the federal government spends.
There was a quote in the Times talking about the president's tack to the center, as people are calling it. And he said, it takes a while to sink in, meaning this new reality, especially if you're a person of great arrogance, as he is. But he's not suicidal. It's beginning to kick in. Does that accurately describe the president?
I would never speak for what he is thinking. What we have observed is that when it came to the tax reductions, that there was a realization by the administration that this needed to be done. The American people expected it to be done. Employers wanted it done. What they're looking for is some certainty in the markets, and with the regulatory upheavals we've had the past couple of years, with the push to increase taxation, what they wanted to see was some certainty, and we provided a window of that so that we can flip things around in Washington, make tax reductions permanent and spending temporary.
Right. But there's no way to know if this compromise is an anomaly or a sign of the next 2 years.
And we won't know until we start working on our spending reductions in January. I hope this newfound fiscal responsibility hangs over into the new year.
Some of these spending constraints that you're talking about might include funding the administrative setup for health care's implementation.
Precisely.
And the president said that I don't think it's, you know, he's not going to have Mitch McConnell standing on his left for most of the time from here on out. And the holiday cheer he was talking about, as he said, is likely to dissipate, but it's going to dissipate pretty quickly, isn't it? If you try to defund, if the Republicans try to defund the implementation of health care, any of this bipartisanship is out the window. Plus, the blue dogs are the guys we're losing. We're consolidating the wieners of the world with the rest of the liberals in the House. It's going to get, I mean, it's going to get much nastier, isn't it?
But, you know, one of the things that we have observed across the country this year is the opposition to Obamacare is bipartisan. The desire to see that bill repealed is bipartisan, because whether someone is coming from the left or the right, they know that this does not work. Our governors, whether they're Democrat or Republican, are saying, wait, you can't pass this kind of mandate onto me and then tell me I'm going to incur billions of dollars of expenses. I don't have a way to pay for this. So the push to repeal it is there.
Is it going to be an appropriations process or a judicial process?
Both.
Or both?
We're going to, of course, you've got the lawsuit that is in place right now and the individual mandate, but then you will see us come in and actually have amendments to remove appropriations or block appropriations to put Obamacare into place. And then the third component of that is actually repealing the bill. And Boehner has said we'll have a bill on the floor right up that will repeal Obamacare.
Well, this is going to drive the president back to his base, then, I would I would think. He's not going to,
I got to tell you, there are a lot of Democrats who are with us on getting this bill off the books. And a lot of state legislators, whether they're Democrat or Republican, who say, this isn't workable, you can't fund this thing. So I think it's going to be a worthy fight, and I'm looking forward to it.
You're optimistic about more kumbaya moments? I'm not hearing it. And it's going to be, what worries me is that now we're going to see the government can control the implementation of all these regulations for Dodd-Frank and for health care. And you saw with the EPA, they backed off a little bit to 2011 on some things. I mean, there's been some positive signs, but if it becomes clear to him that it's going to be a scorched earth policy from the Republicans, he's not going to.
I don't think it'll be a scorched earth policy.
Repealing health care is pretty scorchy.
Well, yeah, but there again, you have bipartisan support.
Really?
For getting that. Yeah, you really do.
Do you buy that?
You have a lot of Democrats and Republicans, as I said, that want that bill off the books. You have a lot of state legislators, whether they're Democrat or Republican, who say, we want everyone to have access to health care, but this is not the way to get the job done. And that is where the agreement is. And then when it comes to agencies like the FCC or the EPA that really have overreached what their mandate is, it's a matter of pulling that responsibility back to Congress. I've had H.R. 391 that blocks the EPA from implementing cap and trade under the Clean Air Act. I have bipartisan support on that, because whether or not someone agrees with cap and trade, what they do agree with is that Congress should be the one making that decision, and that it should not be done through a bureaucratic fiat.
Right.
Congresswoman, thank you for being with us this morning.
Good to be with you. Merry Christmas.
Yes,
Welcome to Memphis.
Thank you very much.